Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And Tucker just came running into the room to sit on the ottoman so that he could participate as audience participation, I guess, in a Peterisms video. Every day, the dogs all sit around me and they just kind of listen to what I'm saying. So as soon as I start like recording on camera, they must notice a difference in the way that I'm speaking or something. I don't know. Or what I say at the beginning of it, because Tucker always comes over here and he always sits down on the ottoman, don't you, buddy? Okay, I have 3 meditations for you guys today. I have not read any of them, but I went through and I looked at the titles of each of them, and I think they're going to be really good ones. So we're going to start today with daily affirmations for forgiving and moving on. And the next one is going to be from A Time to Be Free Daily Meditations for Enhancing Self-Esteem, which is one of my favorites. And because I have so enjoyed ending the day with this recently, we are going to read Nightlight, a book of nighttime meditations. So let's get right into this. October 17th. Okay. Where is the meditation? Letting go of dysfunction, October 17th. Today I am aware that it is more difficult to let go of a painful, dysfunctional situation or relationship than a happy, healthy one. When a relationship or situation is going wrong, I become entangled in the mess, always feeling that if I did just a little bit more, if I tried a little harder, if I changed something, then it would work. When I come from this insecure place, it really never does work out. All of my frantic efforts only serve to complicate an already complicated situation, and my best intentions fall on deaf ears. Letting go does not mean losing. It simply means that I am willing for change to occur. Sometimes the change is so subtle, I only know it took place because I feel better. Sometimes it is more pronounced. I can let go and allow movement to occur. If air is connected wherever it is recognized as such, the path of air is the path of truth. Hans Reichenbach. I think that's a fantastic meditation. You know, for many of us that come from homes of dysfunction or chaos, as I like to call it, because it is total chaos when you grow up in that, you know, and we seem to thrive better in chaos. I mean, if you have ever said the statement, like, I'm really good at helping other people with their problems, or I'm really good at solving other people's problems, or you think that you do very well in kind of like chaotic situations, or in emergency situations you do very, very well, you probably you grew up in some sort of chaos, like I did. And the reason for that is that over time, we become very accustomed to not knowing what's going to happen next. You know, chaos, if you think about chaos, is just constantly ever-changing, moving, whatever. So for those of us that grew up in chaos, what that means is that we never knew what was going to happen next. You know, like, one day it's Little House, for me, one day it was Little House on the Prairie. For me, I was just talking about this on my vlog the other night. You know, one day it's Little House on the Prairie and sitting down and having a chilly dinner, you know, and getting tucked into bed, and the next night it's, you know, Mom passed out and I don't know what to do. And that's at 8 years old, you know? So, and you know, I think it's hard when you grow up in that. And I think what happens over time is that we become so used to the chaos. And then we create our own chaos. And I don't know if many of you have heard of the saying sabotage, right? But like, those of us that come from chaos are really good at sabotaging really good situations in our life. And many of us do that. So many of us, you know, after we have grown up in these environments and we fight and we fight and we fight to get away from them, we recreate those same environments for ourselves. And my best friend and I were talking about this the other night. You know, there was a period of our life, I mean, long after we got sober, but when we were in sobriety, that we had a lot of chaos around us with our friend group and things like that, and we don't have that today, you know? And peace and serenity is very, very important to us. And I said, I just can't go back to that. I just can't, you know? And there have been periods in my life that I have, like, dipped back into chaos, and chaos and toxicity for me are very, very scary. They make me not prioritize the things that are important in my life, and they make me spend all of my time and energy on things that don't matter, you know, when I realize that life is really short. This isn't a dress rehearsal, and I'm not going to get spun out, you know, dealing with crap that just isn't that important. I'm just not today, and I'm definitely not going to deal with somebody else's chaos, so don't bring chaos and toxicity into my life, okay? Like, that is the quickest way to find your way out of my life, is when you bring that into my life today, because today I don't deal with it at all. I just don't. And, you know, I think that one of the things that's really important is that we have got to set boundaries for ourselves. We have to learn how to say no to people. We have to learn that we don't have to give every bit of ourselves to somebody else, and every bit, you know, all the good, all the bad, all of it, right? You take the good, you take the bad, you take it all, and then you have the facts of life. But anyway, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have to do that. We can say no. Like, I'm not engaging in this. You're not going to be part of my life. I don't want you in my life. I don't want to deal with this, right? It took me a long time to realize that. So I think that's a great meditation. I really liked that one. Okay. It's interesting because all of these meditations that I've been reading lately are kind of really focused on really becoming this new person, you know? All right, let's read from A Time to Be Free, Daily Meditations for Enhancing Your Self-Esteem. This is the one that my dad and my stepmom gave me. They also gave me another one. I think it was for women. They didn't know that, but it's one of my favorites. Okay, October 17th. For long stretches of time, we sat on the sidelines of life. We were so caught up in fear, projection, and unresolved conflicts that it was impossible to actively participate in the present moment. Today we have a zest for living. We insist on experiencing life rather than taking it for granted or letting it pass us by. We are determined to use our minds and bodies, each of our miraculous senses, to the fullest. Therefore, one of our overriding goals is to stay in the now. Depending on what is going on in our lives, this can frequently be a formidable undertaking. Nevertheless, we try the very best we can to concentrate on what's actually occurring, as well as how we experience and respond to it. Life means the most when we assimilate what is taking place around us, when we feel our feelings. So we do our utmost to be physically and emotionally present as each moment unfolds. We don't let worry about the future keep us from appreciating a present blessing, nor do we allow the memory of past pain to shut out the sound and joy of today's laughter. Thought for today: yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. It doesn't say that, but it should. I mean, it says yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery. Thought for the day: today is a gift. But have you ever heard that saying before? You know, it's like I say this a lot on here. You know, there's a recovery saying that when we put one foot in yesterday and one foot in tomorrow, we like poop all over today. We don't say poop, but you know what I mean? And I mean, it is. It's true, you know? It's like, it's one day at a time. It's focusing, you know, on today. You know, it's interesting because we talk about this one day at a time thing. But when I first got sober, it literally at times was minute by minute for me, you know? People ask me today, they're like, how did you do it in early sobriety? Like, how do you have, you know, 24 years plus, you know? And I'm like, well, it really was day by day at the beginning. And, you know, that first year was so hard for me. And I've told this story in vlogs and on here, I think, before too, but there were days that would go by where I had a kitchen counter with this phone next to it, and it was like this kitchen island. I had these bar stools on it, and I would have out numbers, true story, you guys, I would have out numbers of that people had given me from 12-step meetings right next to numbers of like my old dealers that I kept in the back, of my wallet, right? This was before cell phone days. And I was like, okay, if I can just make it to, you know, 11:15. Well, I would never wear my watch on that hand. Sorry. Let's keep this real. If I can just make it to 11:15, at 11:15 I can go, and I can go walk down the liquor store. I can call one of my dealers or whatever, right? And then 11:15 would come, and I'd be like, if I can just make it till 11:30, if I can just make it till 11:30. And I would call every one of those numbers that I had gotten from a 12-step meeting, you know? And somebody would finally pick up and say, like, do you need me to come get you? Do you need me to take you to a meeting? Or I can just come and hang out with you. It was literally minute by minute, and I look back on that, you know, and I fought for my life minute by minute. I fought for my life minute by minute. And today I am willing to give up days, weeks, hours, years to stuff that does not matter. I'm not willing to do that anymore. It's important for me to go back and look at that, about how hard I fought for each moment, you know? When you stand over somebody in a hospital bed or at home, you know, in hospice, and they're fighting for those last minutes of their lives, we really realize how precious each moment of life is, you know? Really, it really is that important. And I think, you know, that if we all could remember that, like I forget that, I have, you know, a quick forgetter, but if we could all remember that and realize how fragile life is and then live in the present, we can plan for the future, you know, we can fix the past in today. But it's about living, you know, if I say living in the future, living in today, living in the present. I think, you know, how are we going to enjoy it? Like, how are we going to enjoy our lives if we're always living for what happened or what's going to happen, you know? That's a great meditation. Okay, and then the last one is from the Amy Dean book, October 17th. Let's get to this. And this is from Nightlight, a book of nighttime meditations. October 17th. We come into this world crying while all around us are smiling. May we so live that we go out of this world smiling while everybody around us is weeping. Persian proverb. That is fantastic. Do we matter to others? Have our lives touched the lives of others? Do we think of ourselves as important and worthwhile? There are many lives we touch in a day, a week, months, or years. Each of these lives was meant to touch ours. We are meant to exist. We are children of our higher power and are watched constantly with love and concern. We do matter to those around us. Birth, as well as death, heralds the entrance and the exit of a life filled with meaning and purpose. We were meant to be here now, not only for ourselves, but for the many lives around us. Our lives are important and worthwhile to all the people we know. Help me see tonight that my life matters. Just as others have touched me, so have I touched the lives of others. You know, I've really been thinking recently about changing the end of my vlog, because at the end of my vlog every day, I say, you know, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And have an amazing day today unless you have other plans. And what that means is, I had a friend of mine, whenever I see her, I rarely see her anymore because we go to different meetings, but when I do, she still says this to me. She'll be like, have a great day today, or have an amazing day today unless you have other plans. And basically what that means is, it's up to us how our day is, you know? But the other thing that I have a friend of mine that always says to me is, if nobody else told you this today, I love you. And my old sponsor used to say that to me a lot too. And you know, what was interesting to me when I started doing that on my vlog was how many people would say to me, I don't ever hear those words in a day. Nobody ever tells me, and I never hear in a day or a week, you know, I love you. And I think I realized in that moment how much I take it for granted. That my husband says it to me, I say it to him, you know, my family, my friends, we say it to each other all the time, you know, being in recovery, I mean, we say it to each other all the time, you know, it's like, you know, it's just, I don't know, I feel very, very blessed for that. And then I think that, you know, in my meditations, I started saying, you know, that the most important piece is to reach out to somebody else and let them know how important that they are to you. And I think that that's a random act of kindness that we can do, is just pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, listen, I was thinking about you today. Or, you know, do you remember when we went to the pumpkin patch? Or, hey, you know, I got this recipe that I want to send to you. Or, you know, just somebody in the grocery store and say, hey, you were really helpful to me. Thank you today. Or, I like your blouse. Or, which is funny because I hate that word blouse. But I like your shirt. Your shirt's really pretty, you know. Or, you know, like buying somebody's coffee, you know. Or just letting somebody know how important they are to you. Just anything random, you know, of kindness. And just being that, I think, putting that out there in the world helps. And is just a little bit nicer. You know, talk is cheap, but I think that in letting people know, it's hard, you know? Like, I remember when I did the Magic book by Rhonda Byrne, and one of the things in there you had to do is you had to write a letter to somebody and let them know how important they were to you in your life. And I wrote it to my Uncle Dave, who has since passed. And I'm really glad I did. You know, at the time it was weird because he and I weren't super, like, we were close, but we weren't super emotional, if that makes sense. And I remember when he got the letter and he read it, and it just meant so much to him, you know? And I think, like, I think to do more of those things, like, just with our partner, you know? I was at it doesn't matter. Here, I was going to sit here and pat my back for a second. It just doesn't matter. But, you know, like, I think that we have to start doing more of those things and letting people know how important they are to us. Because there are some people out there that will never hear it today, tomorrow, or next week, you know? And then I also think that we have to look in the mirror. We have to do our daily affirmations every single day and let ourselves know how important and how valuable we are. Because if we don't believe it for ourselves, you know, then it doesn't really matter what somebody else says to us. But at the same time, I think it feels good to know that we're important to other people, you know? Whenever I talk about, you know, we want to talk about attention-seeking behavior a lot, like on YouTube, right? It's like, I always talk about how validation and acceptance feels good. Well, it does to all of us, okay? And if somebody out there says, I don't need somebody else's validation, validation doesn't mean anything to me, that's total crap, okay? We all seek validation from somebody else or something on some level. And, you know, the simplest form is just to say, hey, I was thinking of you today. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.